Today, we're going on a bit of a journey, an inward one. We're going to explore how to find some real meaning and quiet clarity in a world that, let's be honest, just never seems to slow down.
Does this feel familiar to you? So often, life just feels like you're on a treadmill you can't get off of. You're juggling work, family, all the distractions, just trying to keep your head above water. It is absolutely exhausting, and it leaves you just desperate for a break.
So let's talk about our first stop on this journey, and it's one we all know pretty well. What the source material calls our happy places. These are those essential moments of relief that we all need to function.
A great way to think about these is like rest areas on the highway of life, you know? They're the people, the places, the things we do that give us a little fun, a little escape. They're the fuel that lets us get back on the road. And of course, they look totally different for everyone. For you, it might be grabbing lunch with friends. For someone else, it's tinkering around in a workshop or just hanging out with a pet. These are our own personal recharging stations. Okay, but here's where the journey takes a really interesting turn. What happens when these little escapes, these happy places, start to feel less like a rest stop and more like a trap? Well, the thing is, while these activities feel great and they are important, they can also become a really comfortable way to avoid looking inward. They can become a way to keep putting off those big, kind of scary questions like, who am I really? And what truly matters to me? And that's what leads us to our real destination. It's about moving beyond just simple escape and pushing toward actual, profound insight. It's about finding what the Source calls our sacred space. This comparison just lays it out so clearly. A happy place that's focused externally, it's about escape. A sacred space is focused internally, and it's for reflection. One is re-energizing, which is awesome. We need that. But the other can be truly transformative. And learning how to make that shift is everything.
So, what exactly is a sacred space? Well, it's really any place, and that can be physical or even just in your own mind, where you intentionally disconnect from all the noise of the world so you can turn inward. It's where you go to find clarity and reconnect with your sense of purpose.
And listen, this isn't some new, trendy wellness idea. This is a timeless practice. For as long as we've been around, the world's greatest thinkers, creators, and leaders have all sought out these kinds of spaces to find wisdom and inspiration.
Just look at this lineup. You've got Charles Dickens, who would just walk the streets of London for hours. You have Einstein using his famous thought experiments. And of course, you have spiritual giants like Jesus, Buddha, and Muhammad, who found incredible clarity in solitude. They all stepped away from the world to go inward, and they all came back with something truly transformative.
Okay, so we get the what, and we get the why. Now for the really important part, the how. How do we actually build a bridge from our crazy, hectic daily lives to this sacred space?
And I think the key is to remember this incredible quote from Pema Chodron. This is not about some huge, perfect spiritual quest. Not at all. It's just about taking small, honest, maybe even a little clumsy steps.
So the source material gives us a super clear 3-step bridge to get there. First, you take the edge off. Second, you go out of your mind. And third, you reach for your sacred space. Let's break down what each of these really means.
All right, step 1 is all about an attitude adjustment. Let's be real. You can't just force yourself into a state of profound reflection when you're feeling stressed or angry. So the first practical move is to just intentionally shift your mood. Go to one of your happy places, put on some great music, get some exercise, call a friend, whatever it takes to get from a negative headspace to a more positive one.
Now for step 2, and this one is so fascinating. Instead of focusing more on yourself, the idea is to go out of your mind by shifting your focus onto someone else. You help a neighbor, you write a quick gratitude email, you just connect with somebody. This little act of service creates this amazing positive energy that gets you ready for that final step.
And finally, step 3. This is where you actually make it happen. You have to be intentional. You schedule the time, you find the place. The key here is to consciously put down the urgency of your life just for a little while and let yourself enter a calm, quiet environment ready to just listen. This whole journey really culminates in what you might call the ultimate practice for finding that sacred space, and that's the power of the silent retreat. This is where we go the deepest.
A silent retreat, and it can be just for a single day, is your chance to completely unplug from all the external noise. The whole point is to reconnect with that still, quiet voice that so many spiritual traditions say we all have inside of us.
Now, it's not going to be easy. Your mind will fight you, it'll wander, it'll create a million distractions. That's why the Source gives us this fantastic mantra for when that happens. Right now, I have nowhere to go, nothing to do, and no one to be but myself. It's just a brilliant way to gently bring yourself back to the present moment.
And this is probably the most important thing to remember. The goal isn't to achieve some huge lightning bolt revelation. Not at all. The goal is simply to be present with whatever comes up without judging it, and to just listen.
Which really leaves us with this final powerful question. Moving from the constant motion of our happy places to the stillness of our sacred spaces, well, it's not just about relaxing, it's about discovery. So what might you discover if you really, truly gave yourself the space to listen?